After surveying the terrain and massive numbers of casualties caused by Daly, he was recommended for the award of his first Medal of Honor, which he received in December 1901. Daly was then promoted to corporal and became a non-commissioned officer. Daly was known to be a strict disciplinarian, highly intelligent, and able to size up a dangerous situation faster than others. He was fair-minded.
It wasn't like I was doing city tenements or anything like that.
I gotta tell you, I'm a
but
kid.
The insulation is terrible.
I'm a kid. I'm in the back of the Canarsie Cemetery, the only secular cemetery in the city. Every other cemetery is religious. It was actually owned by the city. And I'm hanging upside down in those elm trees. Because during the day, the bats were sleeping. You know, they're nocturnal.
Yeah.
And so I'm hanging upside down. And
we're going to go to the Brooklyn Bridge and dance, all right? Don't jump off the bridge.
That's the Verrazano Bridge of Gabon.
Of course, the Verrazano Bridge. That was it. Curtis, I love you, man. I'm pulling for you. I am supporting you, and I tell everybody.
Well, let me tell you how to support.
Get out there and vote. Yes.
Sliwa for.
Throughout American history, only 3,536 Medals of Honor have been awarded to 3,517 recipients, with 19 double recipients, one being Mary E. Walker, a recipient and the only woman recipient, for her actions during the Civil War, and Douglas A. Monroe, the only Coast Guard recipient for World War II. Union soldier William Johnston was the youngest recipient at age 13 during the Civil War, with Smedley D. Butler and Daniel J. Daly being the only two Marine Corps double recipients. Who was Daniel Daly? What made him unique and different from many other Marines and Medal of Honor recipients? What did he do to earn such distinctions?
Ready as ever.
Hello, I'm Colin Heaton, military veteran, historian, author, and welcome to this episode of Forgotten History.
Ready as ever.
Building. Construction complete. Construction complete. Building. New construction options.
Daniel J. Daly was born November 11, 1873 in Brooklyn, New York to Irish immigrant parents, John and Ellen Daly, with his siblings, Sister Mary and a brother named David. Early in his life, the family moved to Glen Cove on Long Island. Daly was a natural fighter from an early age, and he was prone to being bullied due to being a small-built boy.
Orders?
But he took to street fighting naturally in the tough neighborhood and became quite good at it. As an adult, he stood 5 feet 6 inches tall and only weighed 132 pounds.
Yes, sir.
Daly was not very interested in education, preferring a life of adventure, and he worked as a struggling newspaper boy in Manhattan before he decided to enlist in the Marine Corps on January 10, 1899, at the old age of 26, hoping to get into the Spanish-American War.
Yes, sir. Good to
But
go.
that conflict ended before he even completed boot camp. But after graduation, he became a shipboard Marine assigned to the Asiatic Fleet in May 1900, where he deployed aboard the USS Newark for Taku Bay, China, where he landed with other Marines en route for Peking.
Analyzing schematics.
By late 1899, the Fist of Righteous Army, called Boxers by the Western press, rebelled against Western influence in the country and were openly attacking Chinese Christians and Western missionaries. By May 1900, the Boxers were roaming around the countryside near Peking, housing the foreign embassies, killing at will.
Destination, Commander?
The international legation included the United States, Italy, Austria-Hungary, Germany, France, Great Britain, Japan, and Russia, numbering almost 20,000 soldiers around the country, but only 400 men, including about 50 Americans, were inside the walled compound.
Need a repair?
Repairing.
Got the plans right
When
here.
it was learned that Westerners were being murdered, things changed drastically.
Vehicle ready. Yes,
When the
sir.
report came that thousands of Boxers were approaching, it became terminal.
Unit reporting.
The multinational relief force was ordered to relieve Peking and save the small detachment, including the civilians. The first week of June 1900 saw the first international relief force, called the Seymour Expedition, of 2,100 men, including 100 Americans, being sent from the northern port of Tianjin to support the defenders in Peking. But on June 13th, the Empress Dowager ordered her imperial forces, including the Boxers, to prevent the relief troops from arriving, and the column was turned back as they faced several thousand Chinese. A desperate call went out. The first American troops had left the Philippines on June 14th, the next day, 1900, as a small detachment of the 1st Marine Infantry Regiment sailed for Taku. The U.S. Army's 9th Infantry Regiment, commanded by Colonel Emerson Liscombe, left Manila on June 27th, arrived at Taku, and then marched on to Tientsin. By July 13th, the international force was assembled and attacked at Tientsin by the Chinese and the Boxers. The U.S. 9th Infantry was heavily engaged, suffering about 15% casualties, including Colonel Liscombe being killed. Their pitched battle and killing large numbers of Chinese had opened the route to relieve Peking.
I can go anywhere.
The following day, sensing victory, on June 14th, the Empress ordered that all foreigners were to be killed. The German ambassador was murdered, and the other foreign ministers and their families and staff, together with hundreds of Chinese Christians, were trapped in their quarters and in the Roman Catholic Cathedral in Peking. Meanwhile, the 400 men on location in the legation had prepared their defense to prevent the Boxers from overrunning the entire compound. U.S. Marines and German forces had been stationed on the Tartar Wall surrounding the city of Peking, south of the American legation, but intense enemy fire had driven them back and down for safety. In August, the American forces were designated as the China Relief Expedition and included the Army 14th Infantry Regiment, a battery of the 5th Artillery Regiment, and the 6th Cavalry Regiment, commanded by Army Major General Adna Chaffee, with more than 2,500 U.S. soldiers, sailors, and Marines. This was the 8th Nation Alliance Force, made up of about 18,000 soldiers in total, including 2,500 Americans, 4,300 Russian infantry with Cossacks and artillery, 8,000 Japanese infantry, 3,000 British with Indian infantry, cavalry, and artillery, 800 French Foreign Legionnaires and German cavalry, and infantry joined Austro-Hungarian and Italian soldiers. The defenders in Peking knew that the relief force was on its way, but could they hold on? Marine Captain Newt Hall and Private Dan Daly mounted one part of the wall that had a long field of fire on August 4th with their Lee Navy rifle model 1895. The killing began almost immediately. Daly, an excellent marksman, had selected his killing ground, and it would be the longest single-handed standoff in American history. The Boxers had a few artillery pieces set up less than 1,000 yards away to fire almost level and point blank. Daly kept picking off the artillerymen, one by one, as they were replaced with new targets. The Chinese finally abandoned the artillery, easy pickings for Daly. Due to the growing numbers of hostile forces that had gathered in numbering the thousands, Captain Hall left Daly alone to bring up reinforcements on August 14th, and Daly remained alone to defend his section of the wall, considered the most vulnerable location single-handed. Despite Chinese snipers firing at him and attacking the wall with ladders, he fought them off, shooting dozens until his ammunition ran out, so he resorted to using the bayonet and the butt-stroke method to knock the Chinese off the top of the wall as they climbed up. He was sporadically handed ammunition by runners, and he continued to kill more, then going back to the bayonet until more ammunition arrived. It is unclear exactly how many he killed and wounded, but there were hundreds of dead Boxers and just as many wounded laying on the ground and against the wall, covering 1,000 yards deep and 500 yards wide. But after 2 weeks of defending this sector of wall, the last almost two alone, that section fell quiet as the Chinese survivors decided to find a less heavily defended section to reach. The relief force reached the outskirts of Peking on August 12, 1900. On August 14th, troops of the U.S. 14th Infantry arrived. Later that evening, Captain Hall managed to rally the international force survivors and link up with the release force that had arrived. He needed to check on Daly. The 14th Infantry scaled the Tartar Wall section, littered with hundreds of dead Boxers, where Daly had defended and raised Old Glory on the battlements, where Hall and the Army soldiers found an exhausted Dan Daly. It was the first time a foreign flag had ever flown on Chinese soil. Shortly afterward, British troops managed to break through to the Czech foreign legation compound, but there was still fighting. The next day, the U.S. 5th Artillery blasted open the gates to the inner city, and Allied troops poured in to occupy Peking's city center. After surveying the terrain and massive numbers of casualties caused by Daly, he was recommended for the award of his first Medal of Honor, which he received in December 1901. Daly was then promoted to corporal and became a non-commissioned officer. Daly was known to be a strict disciplinarian, highly intelligent, and able to size up a dangerous situation faster than others. He was fair-minded and very popular among both the officers and enlisted men, famous for his unhesitating heroism, but Daly was also well known for his constant attention to the needs and concerns of his men. Soon afterward, Daly was offered a direct commission, which happened many times later, but he declined on the grounds that he would rather be, quote, an outstanding sergeant than just another officer. In March 1911, Daly was serving aboard the USS Springfield when he put out a nearly disastrous gasoline fire before the general alarm could be sounded, which prevented the powder magazine from exploding, destroying the ship. Daly received commendations from his commanding officer, the ship's captain, and the Secretary of the Navy. A dangerous revolt in Haiti in 1915 endangered the Americans living there and property, and seeing a Marine Expeditionary Force sent in, Daly was serving with the 15th Mounted Company, 2nd Marine Regiment, and they carried out long-range patrols into the interior to seek out the Congo bandits. Daly learned that Marines had been taken prisoner, and, locating the prison camp, he tunneled under the walls, led a few Marines, silently killed the guards, and rescued the Marines. But his heroism was not yet over. On October 24th, 1915, Gunnery Sergeant Daly and his detachment were crossing a river after dark in a deep ravine near the Kako-held Fort Dipiti, when they were suddenly fired upon from three sides by about 400 Kako bandits concealed in the bushes about 100 yards from the fort. Although surprised by the ambush, Daly led his Marines to higher ground and holding a good position throughout the night while receiving constant enemy fire, they observed. Just before dawn, Daly and two other Marines, First Lieutenant Edward A. Osterman and Captain William P. Upshur, led three squads forward in different directions to outflank and surprise the Kako. The maneuver worked, and they killed many of the rebels while the rest fled, allowing them to capture Fort Dipiti. As a result, Daly, Osterman, and Upshur all earned the Medal of Honor for their actions that day, and it was Daly's second. Daly served during World War I from November 4th, 1917 to April 21st, 1919, and fought in the Toulon sector from March to May 1918 and in the Ain operations during June 1918, which included Chateau Thierry and Belleau Wood. On June 5th, Daly extinguished a fire in the ammunition dump at Lucy-le-Bocage. 2 days later, one of the heaviest German bombardments, he personally visited all of the company machine gun crews scattered over a wide section of the front, keeping up morale. On June 10th, his machine gun company was on patrol and taking enemy machine gun fire at Belleau Wood as the Germans retreating from Chateau Thierry stood their ground. When his Marines of the 73rd Machine Gun Company received fire crossing the open wheat field, Company First Sergeant Daly realized they were outnumbered, outgunned, and pinned down. Daly then famously ordered an attack and leapt forward, shouting his now famous order, "Come on, you sons of bitches! Do you want to live forever?" Daly pushed his surviving men through the enemy fire and located the source of the machine gun and single-handedly attacked an enemy emplacement, capturing the Spandau and killing the three-man crew despite being wounded by the use of hand grenades and his Colt 1911 pistol.
Checking
Daly's
design.
Marines then exploited the gap and pushed deep,
Yes,
encountering the
Commander.
main element of the German 347th Division. And for 2 days, the fighting was close quarters with grenades, bayonets, knives, even hand-to-hand. The fighting was taking place in several positions, but especially on Hill 142. Daly's
Conscript
bravery
reporting.
allowed the
Conscript
Marines of the
reporting.
5th and
For
6th
the
Marine
waiting
Regiments
orders.
attached
Order
to the Army's
reporting.
2nd Infantry Division, ironically commanded by Marine Major General John A. Lejeune, to clear the woods and win the battle for Allied forces. At Belleau Wood, the Marines suffered the highest casualty rate in U.S. Marine Corps history until the Battle of Tarawa in 1943, but they won. His actions during that battle earned him the Army Distinguished Service
Order
Cross
received.
and the Navy Cross. The French awarded him the Médaille Militaire and Croix de Guerre with Palm and the French Victory Medal with Four Clasps.
Waiting orders.
Later that day, during an enemy
Location
attack on the village of Boresh, Daly ran through intense enemy fire
Waiting
to collect
orders.
about a dozen
You
wounded
are
Marines
sure?
and soldiers, bringing them to safety. He even gathered a few of the dead. Both 5th and
Waiting
6th
order,
Marines would
comrade.
earn the
Order
French Croix
received.
Legere, which all Marines
What is
still
the mission?
wear when
Getting
assigned
in
to those
closer.
units. The cost was heavy. 31 officers and 1,056 men of the Marine Brigade were casualties.
Comrade? You are
In
sure?
total, the United States forces suffered 9,777 casualties, including 1,811 killed. There is no complete accounting for German soldiers killed, although 1,600 were taken prisoner. One German soldier wrote, "The Americans are savages.
Conscript reporting.
They kill everything that moves." Another German called the Marines reckless.
Do you have a
The
plan?
legend is that the
Waiting
Germans
orders.
used the term
Vehicle
Teufelhunde, devil dogs, for the Marines, although that seems unlikely as that
Waiting
term was not
orders. Ready,
commonly
ready,
used
comrade.
in the
Waiting
German
orders.
language at that time.
Conscript reporting.
However, it
Order
was
received.
reported that the word Höhlenhunter, which means hellhound, was used.
Ready for transport.
Either
Getting
way,
back.
it was a sign of utmost respect. World War I German veteran and Pour le Mérite recipient Captain Ernst Junger used
Ready,
that term
comrade.
in
Waiting,
mentioning the
waiting
Marines.
orders. Changing position.
Daly again saved the lives of his men, cutting down a German charge on June 21st, where he was wounded. After recuperating, he served in the Saint-Mihiel offensive in September 1918 and the Champagne offensive at Bloquemont from
Waiting
September to
orders.
October
Waiting
1918
orders.
and was
Changing
twice wounded
position.
in action again
Ready,
on
comrade.
October
Ready,
8th,
comrade.
1918.
Vehicle
He
reporting.
then served with the
Moving.
American Army of Occupation
Ready,
in
comrade.
Germany
Comrade?
following the armistice,
Vehicle
which he
reporting.
considered not a bad birthday present. When the war ended, Daly served with American occupation forces in
Moving.
Germany, but his service included sea duty aboard the ships USS Newark,
Ready, comrade.
USS Panther,
Moving.
USS
Waiting
Cleveland,
orders.
USS Marietta, USS Mississippi, USS Ohio, and USS Machias.
War miner here. War miner here.
His career was quite colorful.
Looks like good
In addition
place
to
to
combat in China, Haiti, and France,
Building
he also
Soviet
served in
economy.
Panama, Cuba,
Equal share
Mexico,
for
and
everyone.
Puerto Rico, and 8 locations in
Building
the
Soviet
United States.
economy. Looks like good place to buy.
Daly
Soviet
remained on
economy.
active duty until
We will
September
need that.
1919 when he transferred to the Fleet Marine Corps Reserve. He then took a job on Wall Street as a bank guard for 17
Ready,
years.
comrade.
Daly officially retired from the Marine Corps on February 6, 1929 as a sergeant major.
What is the mission?
Daly often spoke about the heroism of others with whom he served, but he never spoke about himself in such terms. Marine Corps University's biography of Daly said that while he was a natural for publicity, he disdained it
Building
and
Soviet
disliked all the
economy.
fuss
Equal
made over
share for
him.
everyone.
A complete list of Sergeant Major Daniel Daly's decorations and medals includes 2 Medals of Honor, Navy Cross, Distinguished Service Cross, 3 Letters of
have a plan?
Commendation, Good Conduct Medal with 2 Bronze Stars, China Relief Expedition Medal, Philippine Campaign Medal, Expeditionary Medal with 1 Bronze Star, Mexican Service
Vehicle
Medal,
reporting.
Haitian
Changing
Campaign
position.
Medal, World War I Victory Medal with ein Saint-Mihiel Mise-Argonne and Defensive Sector Clasps, Médaille Militaire, Croix de Guerre with Palm, and Croix de Guerre. Daley always thought that medals were a lot of
Do you have a
foolishness.
flash? Tools ready?
And Daley never
Yes,
drank
Commander.
alcohol, but he
Checking
enjoyed
design.
smoking his pipe with cut-plug tobacco.
Unit
Dan
lost.
Daley never married, and in 1919 he was reported as saying,
reporting.
"I can't see how a single man could spend his time to better advantage than in the Marines." In 1932, Daley was hospitalized after having a heart attack.
Building.
Sergeant Major
Comrade,
Daniel
moving
Daley
out.
died in the early morning of April 28, 1937 of heart disease
Conscript
at his
reporting.
sister's home in the Glendale area of Queens on Long Island, New York.
Unit
He was
ready.
buried in Cypress Hills National Cemetery in Brooklyn.
Vehicle reporting.
Sergeant Major Daniel Dan Joseph Daley
Construction.
was once
Waiting
acclaimed
orders.
by Major General
Order
John A.
received.
Lejeune,
Waiting
former
orders.
Commandant of the Marine Corps, as the outstanding Marine of all time.
For Mother Russia.
Major General Smedley Butler, the other two-time
Making
Medal of Honor
Russia
recipient
strong.
Ready.
and fellow combatant in
Let's keep
Haiti,
the ore
called him
moving.
the finest fighting Marine I ever knew,
Comrade.
and wrote that it was an object lesson to have served with him.
Unit ready.
Daley's record as a fighting man remains unequaled in the annals of Marine Corps history.
Changing position.
Both of his
Looks
Medals
like
of
good
Honor
place to
and other
mine.
medals
Ready,
are in the
comrade.
National Museum of the
Moving.
U.S. Marine Corps in Quantico,
Unit
Virginia.
ready.
In
Conscript
March
reporting.
1943,
Order
the
ready,
U.S. Navy
comrade.
commissioned the USS
Location
Daley
confirmed.
in his honor. The ship was christened by his
Unit
niece.
Ready, comrade. Changing
Dan
position.
Daley was the most decorated enlisted man in Marine Corps history, nicknamed
Lost.
the ultimate devil dog by his fellow Marines. His legend
Waiting
is
order.
secure.
Location confirmed.
Thanks for watching today's episode of Forgotten History. If you like this episode, please consider becoming a channel member or joining our Patreon page.
Ready, comrade. Location confirmed.
This would help us offset the ever-increasing cost of production.
Attacking. Changing position.
As always, please like, share, and comment. And if you have any show ideas, please contact us, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Until next time.
Ready, comrade. Gear of reporting. Ready, comrade. Changing position.
Select target. Insufficient funds.
Ready, comrade.
Spy plane.
Changing position.
Ready. Select target. Building. Training.
Gear of reporting.
Ore miners.
One of the most successful, well-known, and widely respected actors in film history is American actor Lee Marvin. Known for such iconic films as The Dirty Dozen, Hang Your Wagon, Bad Day at Black Rock, Cat Ballou, Mr. Roberts, The Big Red One, The Professionals, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance,
Comrade,
Donovan's Reed,
moving out.
M Squad, the TV show,
Moving.
King Hell in the Pacific, and Emperor of the North. He was always
Ready,
in demand
comrade.
as an
Ready,
actor,
comrade.
a great
Position.
box
Changing
office
position.
attraction. When Lee Marvin died on August 29, 1987 of a heart attack in Tucson,
Waiting
Arizona, newspapers,
Waiting
tabloid
orders.
magazines,
Moving
and
out.
TV news all
Waiting
covered his
orders.
death and remarked about his long and amazing career.
Spy plane.
But
Ready.
many did not know that he was a United States Marine who served in the Pacific during World War II.
Ready,
Who
comrade.
was Lee Marvin?
Moving.
What was his
Vehicle
military
reporting,
service
comrade.
during World War
Location
II?
confirmed.
Unit promoted.
What was his
Gear of
legacy?
reporting. Changing position.
Building.
Hello, I'm Colin Heaton, a veteran of the United States Army and Marine Corps, former history professor, book author, and welcome to this episode of Forgotten History.
Setting new course.
Unit lost. Select target.
Ready, comrade.
Lamont Waltman Marvin
War
Jr.,
miner here.
better known as Lee Marvin, was born on February
Vehicle
19,
reporting.
1924, in New York City, the second son of his parents, Lamont and Courtney, and they had a full-time job controlling him as a youth. He had an older brother named Robert who became a teacher and artist, who was named after their distant relative, Confederate General
Vehicle
Robert E. Lee.
reporting.
Their father was a World War I veteran,
I'll
a
carry out
captain
the
in the Army
operation.
Corps of Engineers, and later a successful advertising executive. His mother, Courtney Washington, was a well-known fashion writer. Despite having a rather disciplined household, his boisterous manner and quick temper saw him kicked out of several boarding schools for his violent behavior, smoking cigarettes, truancy, and getting into fights. One of the reasons that he was such a poor student is that he suffered from dyslexia and ADHD, and he preferred spending his time in Everglades, Florida, where his family moved after his father became advertising manager for the Florida Citrus Commission in 1940. He much preferred hunting game than attending classes, killing wild boars with a bamboo spear, and stalking down pumas. Never one to back down from a fight despite the odds against him. He was once expelled for throwing his roommate out of the second floor window, luckily avoiding criminal charges.
Building.
His last stop was St. Leo's Catholic College Prep School in Florida, but he dropped out in 1942, but later returned so he could graduate. He wanted to join the Marine Corps. Marvin disregarded his father's objections to his joining the Marines, but after his brother Robert joined the Army Air Forces, Marvin himself enlisted on August 12, 1942 anyway. Ironically, both sons in the military, their father Lamont re-enlisted at age 51 and was sent to England where he established anti-aircraft batteries, actually shooting down a few V-1 flying bombs and a couple of V-2 rockets.
Location
Lee
confirmed.
Marvin went to boot camp at Parris Island, South
Ready,
Carolina
comrade.
Recruit Depot,
Moving.
and then went to New River, North Carolina Marine Corps Base. He excelled in boot camp and, thanks to his father's
Building
influence,
Soviet
made
economy.
sharpshooter.
At once,
He missed
comrade.
expert status by 1 point. He was promoted to corporal at New River, assigned to
War
a
miner
service
here.
company at
Let's
Camp
keep the
Elliott
order.
near San
Airship
Diego,
ready.
California,
Maneuver
and
props
received
engaged.
instructions
Yes,
in
Comrade
demolition.
General. Ready,
He
comrade.
mastered combat training, but
Vehicle
was still
reporting.
rebellious,
Moving.
and some minor scrapes saw him reduced to private, confined to barracks, and assigned to a month of mess
Waiting
duties.
orders.
Afterward,
Location
he was
confirmed.
assigned as a quartermaster in D Company of the 4th Tank Battalion, 4th Marine Division, and then deployed to the Southwest Pacific, where he was assigned as one of the first Marine Corps Scout snipers, as that was yet to be designated as a military occupational specialty. They were later redesignated as the Reconnaissance Company.
Building.
The snipers would be
Waiting
scattered
orders.
throughout the division
Changing
as
position.
needed. Marvin was directly involved in combat several
Waiting
times
orders.
and participated in 21 landings on Japanese-occupied islands while serving as a member of 4th
Moving.
Marine Division.
Airship ready.
He reached the rank of corporal but was demoted again to private for an unknown infraction. Of particular interest, Marvin landed on the beaches of Inuitak and Saipantinian, where
Pride of
most
the
of the
working
4th
class.
Division was like
Equal
that.
share for everyone.
Paddling in
Airship
small
ready.
rubber boats, Marvin and his comrades
clear
were
the
sent in
air.
to reconnoiter
Getting in
Kwajalein
closer.
on the night before the invasion, early on Tuesday, February 1st,
Conscript
1944.
reporting. You are sure?
As he remembered, if you were fired on, you were
Airship
supposed to
ready.
throw a poncho over your head,
Ore mine.
whip out a
ready.
blue flashlight, and draw an X
Checking
on the map
design.
where the
Ready
fire
for
was coming
transport.
from.
Making
Well, I don't
tracks.
think anybody
Waiting
actually
orders.
threw a poncho over their head, and nobody fired back either. Because once you fired, you were dead. Of course, we'd all get miserably lost and screwed up. The next morning, if
Waiting
you got
orders.
that far, the sun
Moving.
would come up and there would be the whole U.S. Navy out there because it's D-Day.
Ready,
And they
comrade.
would be shelling you because
Location
if they saw you,
confirmed.
they figured you were Japs and nobody told them otherwise. So, God, it was absolute confusion.
Select target.
You're hit by friend
Vehicle
and foe.
reporting.
Ready.
So
Location
you eventually
confirmed.
swim out to a reef and pray and hope, goddammit, that somebody's listening.
Moving.
The Marines captured Kwajalein on February 4th, and Marvin saw more action later that month. He and his comrades
Vehicle
scouted in
reporting.
Inuitak before the
Changing
landings
position.
by Marines and Army troops on
Armored
Endeavy and Perry
personnel carrier.
Islands
Ready.
on February 18th and 19th. Marvin's luck held through several more missions before he was shipped to Maui, Hawaii, for leave.
Select target.
Upon his return, he was assigned to I Company, 3rd Battalion, 24th Marine Regiment, 4th Marine Division,
Unit ready.
preparing to invade Saipan, which was fiercely defended by 32,000 Japanese troops, and the month-long campaign was bitter and costly. Marvin's platoon led the penetration, and they ended up in an artillery kill zone,
Unit
and it
ready.
came down furiously. As he stated, they had us nicely pinpointed on a checkerboard. They didn't
Waiting
miss.
order.
The artillery
Changing
got very
position.
bad, and all the bombing
Ready,
was coming
comrade.
down real heavy.
Location confirmed.
Casualties began to
Waiting
mount,
order.
but Marvin and his
Changing
surviving
position.
comrades pushed forward and took shelter in a
Vehicle
long
reporting.
trench. By
Location
the end of the day, the
confirmed.
Marines and Japanese were only 30 yards apart. After killing dozens of Japanese in a series of suicidal banzai charges on Saipan, Marvin and only a few others from his platoon were still alive. In fact, the entire company had been reduced to 25% combat effectiveness. As the remaining men of I Company pushed up to secure the 1,554-foot limestone Mount Topachal on June 18, 1944, Marvin covered their advance with accurate sniper fire, picking off the Japanese snipers he could locate after they fired. But then the Japanese counterattacked, and he was hit by machine gun fire, opening a 9-by-3-inch gash, almost severing his spinal cord and severing his sciatic nerve. He was paralyzed at that time. As he continued crawling forward as best he could, one of the Japanese snipers he was hunting shot him in the foot. Marvin was placed on a stretcher, given a shot of morphine, and laid with the other wounded men. A few seconds later, after he had gulped some water from a plasma bottle, captured Japanese ammunition about 150 yards away exploded. A tremendous blast blew Marvin off his stretcher, and he landed squarely on his wounded backside. After over a year of medical treatment in naval hospitals, he was evacuated to the hospital ship USS Solace, and he spent 13 months in various naval hospitals, going through several surgeries. His prognosis did not look good. However, Marvin had determination, and he attacked rehabilitation therapy the same way he attacked life, head-on. But his wounds rendered him invalid for further military service. Lee Marvin received a Purple Heart, Navy Commendation Medal with V device, Combat Action Ribbon, Presidential Unit Citation, America Campaign Medal, Asiatic Pacific Campaign Medal, World War II Victory Medal, and medically discharged with the rank of Private First Class. After his medical discharge in July 1945, he and his father and brother returned with their mother back to Woodstock, New York. Marvin worked as a plumber's assistant at an upstate New York community theater. A neighbor would take him on fishing trips, and on one of these trips he met the manager of the nearby Maverick Theater. He sometimes stood in for sick actors during rehearsals, making $7 a week, and he discovered that he had a love and was told he had a talent for acting. He learned that his wound to his spine would be painful as a reminder of his service for the rest of his life. Taking encouragement, he studied acting at the American Theater Wing using his GI Bill education benefits. He appeared in many off-Broadway productions such as Uniform of Flesh, which was the original version of Billy Budd in 1949. The latter played to see him perform the same role on Broadway in 1951. This play was performed at the Experimental Theater, where a few months later, Marvin also appeared in The 19th Play in Europe. That same year, until he was discovered by a director who suggested that he move to Hollywood, which he did in 1950, making his film debut in You're in the Navy Now in 1951. That film saw the introduction of new actors Charles Bronson and Jack Morton. This required some filming in Hollywood, so Marvin decided to stay in California, and that same year he was in the film Teresa. Marvin always chose to take on tough guy roles in movies such as The Dirty Dozen, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, and Sergeant Riker. Marvin won an Academy Award for his roles, both as a drunken gunfighter and his evil twin brother in the Western comedy Cat Ballou in 1965. Perhaps his best friend, acting legend and fellow veteran Ernest Borgnine, worked together on several films, most notably The Dirty Dozen, Emperor of the North, and Bad Day at Black Rock opposite Spencer Tracy. In 1986, Marvin told a Leatherneck writer, "When I see a young Marine in the airport, I think about how this guy is getting his presence together. That boot camp is doing its job. There's a medal to him standing in the airport wearing that uniform with his rifle badge. Yeah, I guess I see myself." Lee Marvin was a lifelong Democrat in the John F. Kennedy movement and openly supported him during his presidential campaign. He was also very open-minded on social issues. In a 1969 Playboy magazine interview, Marvin said he supported gay rights. Marvin was a hard drinker and chain smoker, and was famous for always getting what he wanted from women to roles, and he never accepted surrender in any form. His longtime love interest was acting. When asked why he joined the Marines, he was quoted as saying, "I knew I was going to be killed. I just wanted to die in the very best outfit. There are ordinary corpses and Marine corpses. I figured on the first class kind and joined up." Lee Marvin lived by a simple mantra. Life is every man for himself. You can't ever let your guard down, and the most useless word in the world is help. He was credited with making his action and war films more accurate by helping train young actors in the use of the World War II weapons that he himself was an expert on. He also instructed them on military mannerisms and methods. When Lee Marvin died, he was 63 years old, and he was buried with honors in Arlington National Cemetery.
Unit ready.
Thank you for watching Forgotten History. Please click like, subscribe, and share. Send us comments and show ideas, and we will get back to you as soon as possible.
Unit
Until next time.
ready. You are victorious. You are
New York City. It's whipping out free speech. That's what we're doing here. Our little weekly podcast that we do. And, you know, coming back to New York every so often, it reinforces that there is such a problem in this city. Just insanity. And the thought that Zoran Mandani is most likely going to win the mayoral election really, it really sinks in when you're outside and looking around and seeing what's going on here in New York City, especially after what I guess everyone went through, the big storm. There was a big rainstorm, not a hurricane, but a big rainstorm, and it is proof positive that the New York City infrastructure is shit. It is done, gone. They can't even clear the drains. They can't even make sure that the water coming in on the streets can get drained away into the rivers. I guess that's where it goes, and that's where it's supposed to go. But the infrastructure is a disaster. The subways, every time you see the subways, it's just pouring rain underground. I don't know how that works, but it is. That's what it's doing. And, you know, there's plenty of money, and there's been plenty of money for illegals. We've seen that under Mayor Adams. The amount of money that went to illegals being put up in hotels, being fed and clothed, getting health care, all the perks of a sanctuary city like New York City, and nothing for infrastructure. Just nothing. So when it rains, the roads flood, the subways flood, houses flood, people die in their apartments. You know, there's a lot of apartments in New York City that are subterranean, basement apartments and whatnot. And it floods, and I guess people can get out, maybe they're old and infirm, and they're on a sinking ship. I don't think your house should seem like the Titanic when you're trying to maybe go to sleep, and there's a storm, and the water comes up, and you wind up drowning in your own apartment. And I've seen a lot of Democrats posting videos and pictures of the storm, the result, and a lot of it is, of course, you know, climate change. It's that damn climate change, isn't it? They just don't want to face the fact that the infrastructure has been neglected for so long. It doesn't work. And it just doesn't work. And it's not just the drain, it's everything. New York City's falling apart, and it has been for a while. And, you know, it's been 11 years, I guess, since Bloomberg was mayor. So 11 years of New York City being run by Democrats. So how does a Democrat complain about a useless, broken down infrastructure and post videos and pictures of flood damage from this rainstorm and blame it on
Moving.
Trump or Republicans or climate
Ready,
change.
comrade. Changing position.
Again, it's such proof positive that they just will not face reality. They do not take any blame for anything.
Vehicle
You
reporting.
run the city.
Location
You
confirmed.
can't just say, "Oh, it's the Republicans' fault. It's Trump's
Vehicle
fault."
reporting. Changing
You
position.
run this city.
Waiting
The
order.
Democrats own
Moving.
New York City. Everything that's wrong with it is all yours, Democrats. And, you know, if you want to take credit for what's working in New York, feel free. Feel free to do that too. It is your own city. I can't think of one thing. I can't think of one thing that Democrats have done where they could take credit and go, look what we did. Look at the wonder that we brought to this city. All bad. Crime, I mean, you know, any given day, you could read or go to social media and watch videos of just atrocities taking place in New York City. The violent crime problems, the robberies going on. The Democrats own that. They're in charge. You know, you could, if you're the mayor, you get to appoint a police commissioner. If you appoint a police commissioner that doesn't want to do their job, or you tell them that they're not allowed to actually do their job and arrest criminals. You have prosecutors, Democrat prosecutors in this state, in the whole state, and the
Vehicle
city,
reporting.
that will
Moving.
not
Ready, comrade.
not convict
Location confirmed.
criminals. They put them back out on the street. What do you think? Republicans were responsible for no bail,
Waiting
for
order.
bail reform and zero bail to let these animals back out on the streets?
Moving.
These are all things Democrats have done, and they have to live with it. And the mind-boggling part of the whole thing is that we have an election in New York City coming up in a couple of days, and you're going to vote for Zoran Mandani.
Making tracks.
And the only alternative New Yorkers see, if you don't like Zoran, is Andrew Cuomo, another liberal Democrat.
Sure.
You know, he had a lot to do with bail reform and the criminals being let out onto the streets and committing numerous heinous crimes. And they're like, yeah, put him in.
Ready, comrade.
We don't want Mandani, we'll take Cuomo. It's a Democrat. It'll just be 11 years plus 4 more of a Democrat. And what do you think? Cuomo's going to fix the infrastructure? He's already talked about how he wants to put illegals back in hotels, make this the sanctuary city.
Ready for transport.
Mandani, you've heard that. You've heard that. He wants to do the same thing. And, you know, Curtis, I'm sorry, Curtis doesn't have a chance in hell of a
We'll
winning.
work for food.
And that's on New York. That's on all you voters. I'm just here. I am but a vacationing South Carolinian here in New York City
Moving.
for the weekend.
Ready, comrade.
So I don't get to vote. If I did, I would vote for
Waiting
Curtis.
orders. Waiting orders.
But I don't get to
Changing
vote.
position.
And I know it would be, you know, supposedly throwing my vote away, but, you know, why should the Republicans, either Curtis or the
Ready,
vote,
comrade. Let's
why
clear
should
the air.
they
Ready,
have to
comrade.
swoop in and
Changing
save
position.
New York City
Ready,
by
comrade.
putting in Andrew Cuomo? New York's got to learn. I'm not saying it's going to be good. I have a lot of friends and family and coworkers in New York City,
Ready, comrade.
and the last thing I want to see is them suffering
Waiting
and
orders.
having to deal with the likes of 4 more years of either Mandani or Cuomo. But,
Let's clear the
you know,
air. Cutting
you
fast.
kind of put yourselves in this position I don't know what happened. Years and years ago, like how did Giuliani get? I understand that was a long time ago. You know, you think back at Giuliani and you go, oh, it seems like that was a long time ago. But how did that happen? I guess Dinkins, an incompetent Democrat mayor, David Dinkins, did such a terrible job. Crime was off the charts under Dinkins. It was some of the highest murder rates in New York City history. So I guess that was enough for people back then. And look, the demographic of New York City was different under Giuliani and under Dinkins. There were more white working class people living in New York City. And now, you know, the Democrats, if it was their grand plan to import foreigners and Democrat voters, third world immigrants, yeah, that's what they did. And they voted Democrat, and there doesn't seem to be any solution to it. I think New York, and that's just it, I think New York has to be so bad that the people go, we can't vote for another Democrat. Like what happened with Dinkins. Murdered thousands. It's insane. And enough people went, all right, Giuliani's running out. He's running on a tough on crime, tough on murder platform. Yeah, we'll vote for this one. You think if you just keep voting in Democrats and they keep screwing things up, that eventually people might have some sense and vote for a Republican in as mayor of New York City? It only happens if it gets really bad. And I honestly think that Zoran Mamdani, mayor of New York City, will get really bad. The criminal element is just chomping, waiting for this mayor. And that's off of Adams. I mean, Adams hasn't been this champion of fighting crime. That's fun. But Mamdani just has a disdain for the very police force that's supposed to be keeping the city safe. He despises them. Don't think his attitude has changed. We heard his video, we've seen his videos, heard what he's had to say about the NYPD. He calls them racist, oppressive, and he has no respect for the NYPD. He's trying to, he will try to put in place any alternatives to a policeman confronting a criminal. You know, we've heard about the social work. He wants social workers to go on domestic dispute calls for emotionally disturbed person. Any cop will tell you they get shivers up their spine when they get these calls. They are amongst the most dangerous calls they go on. The fact that it's whatever happens is very unexpected. I think when they go on an armed robbery, they know they're on a call that there could be an armed person, and they go in for These domestics can do anything. A couple having a spat, or some guy killing his significant other and willing to kill a cop who wants to come in and stop him. So those are some of the most frightening calls out there. And Mamdani thinks a social worker can just go there. Hi, yeah, we want to, get you two back together. He doesn't seem to know the real deal, what's going on and what's necessary to make sure that the citizens of the city are safe. He has no clue. It's obvious. And, the fast free buses, which are going to cost $700 million, which Mamdani says somehow is going to be a $1.4 billion windfall. Spending $700 million on free buses will make New York City $1.4 billion. I don't know what kind of math he's using on that one, some kind of African abacus he learned as a
Helium mix
kid.
optimal.
But
Helium
I don't
mix
see that.
bearing
And that
set.
$700 million, maybe
pressure,
use it on
roll.
some
Equal
infrastructure,
share for everyone.
drainage, sewage, street, the grates on the street so they don't get plugged up when there's a
Waiting
storm,
orders.
and
Comrade,
people don't have
order
to walk through
received.
diseased water to get where they're going.
Airship
Maybe
ready.
that's a
You
better
have
way to
plan.
spend $700 million, but Danny has different plans for that money. And, you know, like I said, I'm just visiting people, and I'm taking a look around, and it is frightening, and I can't imagine under Zoran Mamdani it's not going to be even more frightening. And even in Andrew Cuomo, the mayor of New York City, I can't imagine it getting any better than we see when we look out right now. Flooded streets, people dying of drowning in their apartments, illegals getting top-shelf hotel rooms. But, you know, New York's got to get real bad. Just like the kid under David Dinkins. It has to get David Dinkins bad before you people understand you need a Giuliani to clean up. All right. I hope you do the right thing, but I don't expect it.
Vehicle reporting.
Anthony Cumia will whipping out free speech. Be sure to catch my radio show Sunday nights, 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time on 77 WABC. Thank you. Have a great rest of the week.
Ready, comrade. Airship ready. Bearing set. Target acquired. I'll carry out the operation. Do you have a plan?
Glad you're joining us this Sunday evening, per usual. My guest tonight, just awesome. I've done shows with him. It was a lot of fun. He's a great guy. He's a New York guy. He knows the city like not many others. I gotta be honest. I don't profess to be much younger than Curtis, but I kind of grew up, not as a kid, you know, but he's in 30s, watching what he was doing in New York. Sometimes you laugh, chuckle, and most of the time you go, good, someone's finally doing something. My guest, how are you this evening, Curtis?
Oh, I couldn't feel better. You know, Friday night I'm under the Kosciuszko Bridge, and remember, Anthony, don't be saying Kosciuszko like the other gabons out
The way
there.
they used to say it. The Kosciuszko. Kosciuszko. First time I heard it said the proper way was on a traffic report. I think it was on Winds or something. He goes, Kosciuszko. And I'm like, what?
That's right.
They built a new bridge? I never heard of it.
So, underneath the bridge, finally, after 5 times trying and running into every bureaucratic delay by the Adams administration, before that, during the lockdown and pandemic, Cuomo out in the Hamptons tried to stop them from having a concert. We were there, myself and my wife Nancy. We're in. That's right. We're into EDM, electronic dance music, and I mean the music was flowing. The song "Closer," Paris, "Don't Let Me Down," "Take Away Addiction," and actually, my wife knows all the words. She's lip syncing them with the crowd. I know some of the words. We had such a great time, and then they tweeted us, the Chainsmokers, Curtis and Nancy Sleewa, for being there. Now, it doesn't get any better than that. Come on, Andy.
No. That's good because, you know, you're known, and people, they're pulling for you, Curtis.
Well, also, they hated Cuomo because of the lockdown and pandemic, and Adams for making it so difficult to have a concert. Not because Adams doesn't like the Chainsmokers. He probably doesn't even know who they are. But the regulations that exist in this city to do anything, Anthony, which is why people like yourself have decided we're out of here. You're down in South Carolina where like half of New York City has moved.
Yeah, a lot of people have left New York because of things like, you know, the things most people go, taxes, I can't take the expense, the lack of rights that you have. They've just infringed on your rights, this and that. But regulation is a huge thing. The amount of red tape you got to go through to do anything. There was one time, I lived in Roslyn, out on Long Island, and I wanted to chop a tree down in what I thought was my yard. I bought the house. I pay the taxes. I wanted to cut a tree down, and silly me, I went through all of the legalities that one would go through when you have to do something, thinking it would be simple. The amount of money I had to pay various people to cut a tree down in my own yard was criminal. A tree inspector, a tree doctor had to come and examine the tree to see if it was healthy, and then that would have been more money or more forms that had to be filled out. It's gotten to the point of being so oppressive that I don't know how anyone is even left in that state, except for the lunatics that are pushing people in front of Trump.
You committed arbicide?
I did, arbicide.
You
had
killed a tree. A tree grows in Brooklyn. That's the book we all read in like second grade.
I know.
You killed
Curtis,
a tree?
I love nature. I love trees. I love the beauty of trees. But the leaves were falling in my pool. I can't have them.
Oh, excuse me. You didn't have a pool boy there?
I couldn't stand the leaves in the pool. So I got rid of the... No, it was dead. It was half dead anyway. One of the branches were broken off. It was all hollow and like sawdust inside.
Actually, Anthony, one day, when time permits, you need to get program director Kevin George on to talk about how he was a pool boy for the owner-operator of WVOX in Westchester for many years. And
is this a titillating, sexy story of a pool boy? Or?
It involved pleasurization, the likes of which I couldn't imagine Kevin would indulge in.
Yeah, I went through a pool cleaning phase in my earlier days.
Oh, you did?
My early 20s out on Long Island, vacuuming people's pools, and they had huge houses, and you wanted something to drink, a drink of water, and they'd be like, yeah, the hose is right there, and you're drinking hot water out of the hose.
Like you're an illegal alien, right?
Yeah.
Who was at Home Depot, standing there for day labor to clean the pool.
Getting my cardio when I see the SUV pull up.
Oh my God. So you're the pool boy. Now, what causes that silt on the bottom of the pool? I can never figure out.
You got to cut your trees down around your pool there. Oh, the silt at the bottom? I don't know. You gotta, because when I finally did get my own pool, then I had other people like me come over and do the work. So I don't know what actually was wrong with it. I just had to vac it out. I didn't know what caused it.
Oh, so there you were, you blue-collar working class man. You didn't have calluses on your tuchus. You had calluses on your hand for doing a hard day's work for almost no pay.
Yes, and you know how that is. You did the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
And how many people in government, and I'll bring it over to the entertainment field in some respect, how many of them don't even know what it's like to go to a job you can't stand, be in conditions. I also did HVAC, and being in attics in the middle of the summer, it's 130 degrees up there. You're banging your head against the shingle nails, poking through into the attic, and you're hating life, and all you're doing is thinking, God, I gotta get out of this. I gotta do something else. I have these dreams and aspirations, and you work toward them. And when it pans out, it is an amazing thing, but you will never, ever look back and take it for granted.
So hold on a second. I'm really interested in this attic boy. You're up there. You got all the insulation, all the fibers that you're breathing in that you're going to get cancer from, years from now. Did you find any bats or skeletons up there in the attics?
There were bats a few times, mice. It was out on Long Island, so it wasn't like I was doing city tenements or anything like that.
I gotta tell you, I'm a
but
kid.
The insulation was terrible.
I'm a kid. I'm in the back of the Canarsie Cemetery, the only secular cemetery in the city. Every other cemetery is religious. It was actually owned by the city. And I'm hanging upside down in those elm trees. Because during the day, the bats were sleeping. They're nocturnal.
Yeah.
And so I'm hanging upside down, and I'm loving it. I'm climbing those trees, and I'm looking at the bats, and I jostled one of the branches, and the bat woke up and bit me right in my stomach.
Oh, no. You really got to think that's going to be a problem.
I fall out of the tree.
fucking attack.
There's like an emergency. You know, my cousins, Joey G, the Cheech from Howard Beach, Lenny Beans Bianchino. Oh my God, you got bit by a bat. Rabies.
Yep, that's the first thing you think.
They dragged me to Brookdale, the ER, you know, first in line, the guys who got shot, then in line, the guys who got stabbed, then the ones who got bit by bats or rats. And they give me 12 horse needles right in my belly button. I mean horse needles, and they say, if you don't take these needles, there's a very good chance that in the middle of the night you're going to be foaming from the mouth. And there's nothing we could do for you then. You're gone. You got to call in the priest with the last stripe for investments.
As kids, we all learned that from cartoons, by the way.
Oh, what about the wild packs of dogs that would be roaming the neighborhoods, and they'd be foaming from the mouth, and everybody would say, "Oh my God, rabies! Stay away from them."
That was a scary thing as a kid.
And remember, Anthony? Remember when you would see a praying mantis, and they would say, "Don't touch that praying mantis. If you kill that praying mantis, people in Washington are going to know, and they're going to come and put you in federal prison for 5 years if you bother a praying mantis."
Yes.
And I would say, how would they know? It's a protected species.
They knew somehow, because as a kid, you were petrified of that. Every kid heard it. There was no internet. How the hell did every kid in this country know that it was illegal? You go into prison if you kill a praying mantis.
And
somehow we all knew it.
It all blended in. The praying mantis, their colors would match the leaf or the branch they were on. So you might have jostled the praying mantis and you would pray to God, "Oh, please, I hope the praying mantis doesn't die. I can't do time in federal prison."
The knock on the door. FBI, is your son home?
The other one, Anthony, if you kept a book one day over from the blue-haired matron,
Right.
and you didn't make it to the night depository box by 12 midnight, she shows up the next day, like with a warrant, to come in the house to check any books. I don't care if we're matchbooks, comic books, S&H green stamp books, you know, where you used to cut your tongue, slapping them in there to get that toaster oven, you know, it's S&H green stamp store. Oh, God. It was...
We had a pretty twisted thought about the world back then in laws.
It was good. We knew there were consequences.
Yes. Maybe that was a good thing. Like use of consequence that wouldn't ever happen was probably better than this. What we have now, where no one thinks there's going to be consequence because they haven't seen any. You know, people are able to do these things these days that. You know, we see what goes on in a lot of these stores where people walk in. It's not shoplifting. I don't call it shoplifting. It's strong-arm robbery. There's a threat of violence if you try to stop somebody from taking stuff out of a store these days. And they load up bags. They don't run in, grab something, run out. They take their time. The only people that would do that are people that absolutely know there's no consequence to it. And consequence is the only thing that's going to curtail this, Curtis. And we have these elected officials, police departments, the DAs, the AGs, all these judges that just refuse to put consequence on people's actions.
I have to admit to you, something that I did as a 7-year-old child. We went to visit my uncle Jimmy Scavone and Lucy Scavone. They had moved to Hollandale, right outside of North Miami Beach. And you know, that was back at the time where Jackie Gleason, the most watched entertainment show on the weekend. And at the end, he would say, "Come on down to Miami Beach," and like half of New York City did.
Yeah.
So my aunt says, "Let's go shopping at the local Piggly Wiggly." Piggly Wiggly. Not Wall Bombs, not A&P.
Not Bohack.
Nope, not Passmark. Piggly Wiggly.
Yeah.
I knew that was going to be an adventure. So she's walking around, and I see her tasting some of the grapes. And I ratted out my own aunt.
Whoa, you're right. In an Italian family.
I ate the Parmesan cheese. I went up to a guy. I said, "She shouldn't be doing that. She's eating the grapes." My Aunt Lucy was so embarrassed. And the manager comes over to me and goes, "Kid, you're like a junior sheriff down here in Dade County. We should make you a junior sheriff. You're like a narc. You narked out your aunt for eating the grapes. She was tasting them. She wanted to see which of the table grapes she wanted to get.
Right.
Do you know, she put me in the back of that car, and she goes, out of her mind, you of all P. Curtis, I'm your aunt. I am the older sister of your mother, Francesca. What did I do to deserve this?" And I said, "You ate the grapes without paying for them." And to this day, I think I was right, Anthony.
Yeah, but there's certain cultural things, Curtis, where it might seem like you're being a rat. You don't want to rat out your family.
Hold on a second. Cultural, this reminds me of Andrew Cuomo. This is the 4th anniversary when he fled Albany because he feared impeachment for slapping fannies. And remember,
he was just being Italian.
Yeah, remember that was his excuse. It was my culture, a cultural influence. Now, I knew his daddy Mario, and Andrew is no Mario. In fact, when I see Andrew on the stage at the debate, because there's going to be 2 debates for me, I'm going to say, "Andrew, I knew your father, Mario. You're no Mario. Why don't you go get your shine box right now, huh?
Oh,
Huh, Andrew?"
brutal.
But the fact was, he sexually harassed 13 women, denied it. They all worked for him. They all worshipped him, including a state trooper. He said no, and then he not only was slapping fannies, he was killing grannies. And the guy is back. He's like, this is like a nightmare. He's like, he is like a zombie who comes back from the dead, the political dead.
It's amazing. I thought he was done for. He doesn't seem to have much traction as far as this mayoral race goes. You have a buzz about you. People are talking about you. No one's talking about Cuomo. But hey, Curtis, you know how this is. I got to take a break, but we'll be right back. You know how this is. We're squeezing in here for breaks. It's regular radio. You know how it is. We'll be back in moments with more of Curtis Sliwa on the Anthony Cumia Show. Curtis, I gotta ask you this because I'm checking my feed during the breaks, and one thing people keep bringing up, they think you should drop out and endorse Adams because they're saying, "Oh my God, Mandani's going to win if Curtis doesn't drop out and back Adams." I don't see it that way. I see this as Adams and Cuomo and Mandani divvying up only the Democrat votes. I think any Republican would vote for you. I think you'd be very hard pressed if you dropped out that Republicans would even go out to vote in November for this. I honestly believe that if every Republican got off their ass and actually did vote, we would have Curtis Sliwa as the mayor in New York in November. What do you say to these people that are asking you or demanding you drop out and back Adams?
First off, Anthony, that was a brilliant political analysis. It really was, because you got it. There are 4 people in this race that everybody knows. At least everybody knew the 3 a long time ago, okay? Cuomo, Adams, Sliwa, and Zoran Mandani. Not even his neighbors knew who he was 6 months ago. Now he's an international infamous person who's a combination of Che Guevara and Yasser Arafat. A combination of both. And he loves it. He loves it. So, 6 weeks ago, there was intense pressure. You got to drop out. You got to drop out. Then all of a sudden, I was the only one to get $2 million in matching funds.
Matching funds, yep.
Not even Zoran. Adams got zilch, and Cuomo got zilch. And in the last 4 polls, I'm the only one who's surging. Zoran is sort of plateaued out. Cuomo is sort of like slowly receding like his hairline. And Adams has crashed and burned. He's down to 7%.
He's done. Let's be real.
Well, look, when he sat on that sofa of Fox and Friends, and Tom Homan, the head of ICE, says, "Boy, when I get back here, if I see the NYPD are not working with ICE, I'm going to stick my boot up your tuchus." And Eric didn't even blink, didn't even say anything. That was it for him in the black community. All the black communities I've been campaigning in, they tell me that was the defining moment when they realized that Eric Adams, in order to avoid going to jail for political corruption...
He's compromised by the federal government at this point.
I know, but, I mean, I get it. Cool Hand Luke, I love that movie. Remember, you got Paul Newman... Yes, boss. And he uses that as a ruse to escape from the sheriff. But in this case, Tom Homan reminded me of that sheriff. And Eric Adams reminded me of Paul Newman. But it wasn't a ruse. It wasn't an attempt to extricate him.
No, he'd been broken.
Oh, my God.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Yes.
I love it.
He was dead on arrival. So... the whole campaign is based on you got to be out in the streets, you got to be in the subways, which none of those candidates are.
No, they go to these fundraisers and these hoity-toity. Where was Cuomo? Out in the Hamptons with Howard Stern? Where was he? Where are you? You're underground in New York City in those wretched subways.
Yeah, and that's the perfect focus group, because you know, Anthony, when you get into a subway car, anybody could be in that car. Any race, any background, whether they're locals, tourists, emotionally disturbed, homeless, millionaires will sometimes take a quick ride down to Wall Street. Yeah. You're all, and the doors closed, and now there's no escape, Anthony. So you get somebody giving you the finger and somebody patting you so hard on the back you got to go for a chiropractic adjustment, but a whole bunch of people asking you questions the way it should be. And boy, if you don't answer the question, you know, you vacillate, you do the pivot and shift, they're going to nail you right there. And it's a great way if you want a focus group. And it's obviously you have to worry about all the crime there, but you know, the city has said it's the safest the subway has ever been in subway history. Tell that to the doctor in the ER who got thrown in the tracks at 50th Street on the 1 train at 7:30 at night in front of a whole bunch of tourists.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been caught yet.
Well, I saw the description. It said a guy tall, wearing a backpack and a white T-shirt. So they should get him any day now.
Now, hold on a second. The most important element of that description is, what's the color of his skin?
Oh, stop.
Come on,
I don't see color. I don't see color.
Anthony, that's a great description, but that could be a white guy, black guy, maybe a guy with olive complexion, a guy who has acne, you know, and never used Clearasil as a kid. You know, help us. The guy is on the lam, and the city just keeps saying, you know, we've just had the safest July in subway history.
Oh, they crow about how safe the city is in the subways. And meanwhile, a guy just got another guy. I thought it was a story from 2 weeks ago. I checked, it was today's date. Stabbed in the neck on the subway just a few hours ago. Altercation on the train. Why you would argue with anyone on the subway is beyond me. But it's out of control, Curtis, and
I'm the only one who can get it back because I'm the only one who's been patrolling those subways with the Guardian Angels for now 46 years. I know what needs to be done. I know how it's been done before, and it's not a difficult process. But if you decide to go with Adams or Cuomo or Zoran Mandami, these are guys who don't ride the subway. How are they going to know what to do?
We'll take up this in the next segment. Anthony Cumia Show, back in minutes.
There is a song that I think is pertinent to our audience here, Anthony, and that is Don't Let Me Down. Don't let me down out there. Republicans, it's time to come home. We have a real opportunity to get this city back on track, like we did when Rudy got elected mayor, and then Bloomberg for 12 years, then Pataki was the governor for 12 years. We had no chaos, no corruption with Republicans. We went back to the Democrats, de Blasio, Cuomo, Adams, and all we've had is chaos and corruption.
How fast, too. It all goes downhill. It's so difficult to come back from look at the 90s. Look at the 90s New York City. I mean, murders at their all-time high, crime. And Giuliani gets in there. It took him a while, and he was despised. Don't think of post 9/11 Rudy Giuliani, America's mayor, that everyone loved him. He was hated as the mayor because he had a job to do. He knew what it was, and he didn't let popular opinion sway him. Crime needed to be stopped. He cleaned up the areas of Times Square. You know, some people don't like it. They like the gritty old Times Square. But it made it into a tourist attraction and brought so much revenue into the city. Now, I look at tourists that come into New York City and go, are you out of your mind? You got your kids here? You're wheeling your luggage down the sidewalk? This is insanity. And we were at a point. What was Giuliani doing that you might adopt some of the things? I was talking earlier about this quality of life and these the broken window policy, keeping cops down there in the subway by the turnstile so these nuts can't even get on the platforms. What are some of your ideas about making New York a little safer there, Curtis?
Well, let me explain one thing from the news headlines. There was a 17-year-old thug at 1:30 in the morning in Times Square off of like 44th, 45th and Broadway. And he pulls out a gun and he starts shooting people.
All right, Curtis, wait. Couldn't happen. It's a gun-free zone, Times Square. I know.
Well, actually, the reason it was created, a gun-free zone from 40th Street north to 50th Street, along the corridor Broadway and 7th Avenue, was by Governor Hochul and Eric Adams against people who had a legal permit to carry.
Yes.
So, if you were legally licensed, which is a very difficult thing to get anywhere in New York.
The money and time it takes, forget about it.
But this sign meant you. Now, the guy who always carries an illegal handgun, which is 99.9% of the troublemakers who end up firing their firearms, they're reading that, if they can read, and it apparently does not apply to them.
No. What's that?
They feel they have a license to carry an illegal handgun in Times Square and kill or shoot as many people as possible.
Yep.
Now at 17, they raised the age. Cuomo raised the age, so you have to be 18 to be charged as an adult. So this guy tries to murder people, and he will be charged as a juvenile under the old Cuomo law. Remember, no cash bail Cuomo. That means whatever you do, you're going to get cut loose.
It's reform, though, Curtis. It's bail reform. So it's a good thing, right? They're reforming something.
And then Zorhan Mandami, the man who said, I want more social workers, not cops, he wins the Democratic primary, and now he is escorted wherever he goes by armed NYPD police officers who drive him around in a gas-burning guzzler, I think it's a General Motors SUV, and he's loving every second of it, because when he was over there reminiscing about the life and times of Idi Amin in his home country of Uganda, he had the commandos there with the AK-47s fully loaded, couldn't make a phone call on his land gentried premises.
Right.
So it's sort of like, do as I say, not as I do. These are sanctimonious hypocrites.
They all are. It's just, especially on the Democrat side. You know, the Republicans aren't all saints themselves, but the Democrats, I was just talking earlier about their deceit, their deceitful way of putting things and wording certain things. When they come up with a bill, it sounds like a great thing. The Safety Act in New York, and meanwhile, it takes away your right to bear arms, your Second Amendment right. But they put the names on it like they're helping you. They're doing a favor as they rip away your rights.
Now, let me take you back to something of great importance to me, and I know you, when we last spoke, you had just brought a puppy dog into your life, am I correct?
Yes, Dallas, Belgian Malinois. We have the time and space and motivation, energy and resources to take care of a Malinois the way they need to be, because they call them meat missiles. They're special forces and police dogs, but they're smart as a whip. He's being trained so quickly. My girl Missy knows how to train these dogs, and it's amazing to watch.
Now,
and I love that.
Yeah, and you should. But while you were down there, we had a horrific story here that unfortunately happens far too often. So you had this young thug who at 4:30 in the morning is kicking a pit bull to death, drags it along the street in South Ozone Park. It's all on video. and then sets the dog on fire and runs away. Turns out the guy is caught by cops in the 110th precinct. Days later, I had brought a whole posse of animal welfare people out there. We were giving out information that would lead to his capture, and he was captured. And he was cut loose, no cash bail. This young guy went to Canisius on a basketball scholarship. Right. Sort of a Michael Vick type, you know, just vicious towards animals. And that's the other thing is I am running on the Protect Animals Independent line, no-kill shelters, animal abusers go to jail. And that resonates with people no matter whether you voted for Trump, you voted for Harris, you're independent, conservative, liberal, doesn't matter, and mostly women. Because if you're not taking care of animals, you're not taking care of people. And look how many homeless and emotionally disturbed people we have here.
Curtis, I've spoken with a lot of people, and I hear people that have critiques of you. And one of the things that I don't understand is I say, no, Curtis is the guy. This is the guy we need in New York City right now. And they go, oh, what, him and his cats? And it's like, if you don't have empathy for a completely helpless animal, a cat, a kitten, what kind of human being are you? Like, that is I judge people's character on how they feel and treat animals, because they are probably the most innocent things you'll find. Most people, most human beings, and I love seeing these videos when they see an animal in distress and they help it, and you don't know this person from a hole in the wall, but you go, damn, that's what people should be. That's how a human being is supposed to act. And some people look at it as detrimental to your platform. And who the hell would think that way about animals?
Well,
and what have you heard?
They did. Yeah. They did 4 years ago when I ran against Eric Adams. They made fun of me and my wife. Now
that was cat guy.
Right. That was during the lockdown and pandemic. So the shelters were not taking in animals being surrendered, and I don't blame them. People were dying left and right of this virus that we really didn't know anything about. They were terrified. Okay. So my wife went down to the shelter, and as people would come in to surrender cats, she'd say, please don't give them into the shelter. They're going to euthanize them.
Yeah.
See, because the people were of the belief, no, if I surrender the cat or the dog, they'll find them a good home. Cause
everyone thinks that.
Doesn't happen. Not in New York. After a certain number of days, they kill them. And so my wife would bring them back to the house. She would get them the shots from the vet visit. She would socialize them and then adopt them out in twos. So the reporters wanted to come over and visit us. See, we lived in very simple. So much was made of Peanut the squirrel.
Oh my God!
And
his Peanut.
Right, and his pal Freddie the raccoon. Remember that the evil animal welfare agents of Kathy Hochul came, with their jack boots on, kicked in the door. The husband and wife, they were making porno films on the side. That's their business. But they had an animal sanctuary there. They took the Peanut the squirrel and Freddie the raccoon because somebody in Texas called and claimed that they thought they had rabies. So they take them away, they bring them to Albany. The test for rabies for an animal is you chop off the head.
You got to take the brain out. Yeah, there's no living test for rabies.
So now think about it. They didn't have rabies. So how do you put them all back together again? The husband and wife, they said, we'll send the bodies back. They won't. That is evil.
Yeah.
If these people are rescuing animals in the wild who would normally die from injuries and not asking anything from the taxpayers, we should be helping them. Like my wife, and there are tens of thousands of animal rescues who are out there, mostly women, some men. They spend their own money. They go out there, whatever the weather, morning, noon, and night. They risk their lives to protect animals. And that is a humanitarian thing to do. And we are a better society because of it.
It's a great judgment of character, and everybody that is into rescuing animals and caring for them, and even if you're just somebody that sees an animal on the side of the road and decides, I need to help this, it is a great judge of character. They're just good people. They're good-hearted. It's an instant way to tell if someone's good-hearted. You want to talk to a Rich in Connecticut? He wants to talk about you on the animal welfare line.
Absolutely.
Rich, you're on with Anthony Cumia and Curtis Sliwa.
Yes, hi. I'm a supporter of Curtis going back for 2 election cycles, and just an admirer because he's a deep New Yorker. He understands New York in a deep way more than almost anybody else. So he's a candidate that any voter in New York could be proud to vote for. And I think for Curtis to win, you have to track the Democrat voters, the union voters, to your animal welfare line, and then label Mandami, which is what he is, San Francisco 2.0, a variety of programs, some that Cuomo instituted and have failed wherever they've been instituted.
Well, you know, I've studied both Zoran Mandavi and obviously Anthony Cuomo and Eric Adams. Now, there's no doubt Mandavi is the most extreme, but he is sort of like Coca-Cola, and Cuomo and Eric Adams are Diet Coke, because they believe in many of the same things. To give an example, Anthony, they believe illegal aliens should vote. I say no. They believe in a sanctuary city, all 3 of them. I say no. There are clear differences, but in the other area of animal welfare, they have no position. In fact, Andrew Cuomo had this Siberian Husky. And when I asked the question, whatever happened to the Siberian Husky, man's best friend, we were told, both I and my wife, mind your own business.
Uh-oh.
Now,
sounds grim.
Could be, you know, the Siberian Husky. They didn't fix the Siberian Husky like Biden with his German Shepherds. Remember?
Right.
The German Shepherds were
Secret Service agents.
Because they didn't fix them. Anybody would know that. And apparently, Andrew Cuomo never fixed the Siberian Husky, who became a nemesis to other people. And now, all of a sudden, on the campaign trail, and they said, can we find out what happened to man's best friend, the Siberian Husky? We're not at liberty to say.
Curtis, I got to also ask you about, because I don't understand the controversy behind the hansom cab thing, the horse-drawn carriages in New York. And the part of the controversy I don't understand is, what does it do for New York City that is so good, that makes money, like all the things politicians want? They want money and power, 2 things. How the hell do a bunch of fat tourists from Germany being hauled around by this poor animal on the busy city streets of New York, how does that actually help New York, aside from this archaic image that people think is so important? It is a cruel practice. I can't stand it. And I know you are against it, as is your beautiful wife, Nancy. What is going on with this, and why can't we just get it stopped?
Let me make this a domestic issue, since you maligned the Germans.
There was some fat German tourists.
I understand. There are many tourists from Iowa and Nebraska where they spend their life battling at the salad bar over who's going to get the macaroni salad or the potato salad. To them, that's salad. So you're right. They're real porkers. And they come to New York and they get in that carriage. It weighs 100 pounds to begin with. And now the poor horse, whose head is already down, and you can see the horse is suffering, he's got to schlep around the park about 1,200 pounds of additional weight. They're injured, they're older, they're not being cared for, they're being tortured. It's barbarian. Anthony, there are now third world countries, like in Bombay, in Monterey, in Santo Domingo. They used to have horse-drawn carriages for their tourists. They now have the mechanized carriages where the carriage drivers still are employed. So it's not like they lost their job.
Right.
But there is something about this Sex and the City thing. You know, they say, see all the times in the episodes in Sex and the City.
Curtis, it's romantic.
I mean, meantime, the poor horse is dying. Yeah. They keep them in garages, car garages.
Parking garage, like you park your car.
Yeah.
The guy comes, he gives you a ticket, takes the car. That's where these horses are. What a great setting for a majestic beast like a horse. Terrible.
Right, and there are replacements, and I and my wife and others are dedicated to making sure that stops. Now, when I'm mayor, unlike de Blasio, who promised he would end it, but knew he didn't have the executive power to do it, he took everybody's money,
What does it take to end it if he didn't have the executive power?
You have to go to the city council, you have to have a vote on it, and what you do with the city council men or women, even though most would disagree with my politics, is you say, okay, this is an important issue to me.
To me, right.
You need discretionary funds to look good in your community so we could put your freaking name on a garbage can, and it makes it seem like you bought the garbage can for your residents when in fact it's us, the taxpayers.
Right.
So what do you need from us? What discretionary funds do you need? Do you need a fountain? Do you need a little new playground? What do you need in your community? And you give them something, and then they give you something. And you are saying, and I'm going to look them in the eyes and say, look, there are many things we need in this city, but this is undone business. De Blasio promised he would stop this barbaric habit. He took everybody's money. At night he was smoking Maui Wowie and Hindu Kush on the back porch with his grifter wife Charlene, of Gracie Mansion. We want to right the wrong. Please, I'll help you get your discretionary funds. You got to help me on this vote. We must end this barbaric behavior, or I'm going to name and shame all of you.
Do you know Elon Musk at all? Have you had any contact with him?
Well, I haven't done ecstasy or Molly.
Right.
I haven't been out there in that wing-ding world in Silicon Valley. No, I've never met Elon Musk.
Well, maybe something could be done, because here's what I say. Not just this autonomous cart that drives you around, a fully mechanical AI horse. It looks like a horse. Maybe futuristic, though. Chromium with lights for eyes. And that's a Tesla horse that rides you around New York City with sensors on it and everything. I'd be all for that. I think it's cooler than a horse.
Like Mr. Ed that we grew up with?
Yes, Mr. Ed. It talks. And it doesn't make Park Avenue or where Central Park North, is it? Right by where
Central Park South, right there, near Billionaires Road. They call it Billionaires Road.
Yeah, it smells. When those horses take dumps, that smells bad.
No, wait a second. Hold on. Yeah, you're part Italian, right, Andy?
Of course.
Let me tell you something. I ended up. Remember when flight TWA 800 went down in the Mauritius? And it's still up for grabs as to how it came down. Was it shot down? I went out there with a guy named Joel Santisteban who had his boat. We went out there. I got not only poison ivy, I got poison oak. You know the combination of both. My Aunt Mary, bless her soul, said there's only one relief. You gotta get some horse chips right outside of the Plaza Hotel. You put them in the bathtub, in the bookhouse, a little warm water, and you lay in there. And I said, come on, Aunt Mary, I'm gonna, that. She says, you want to keep suffering because, your skin bubbles up. You want to keep suffering on down? Or do you want relief? This works. This is from body. This is what your grandfather, Fidel Bianchino, used to do.
That is some old country stuff right there.
That worked,
Curtis.
It cured me of the poison ivy and the poison oak.
Amazing.
Horse chips.
Who knew? I'll recommend it to my doctor. Curtis, I'm going to take another break. You want to hang out? We're talking, man.
Sure, to the break of dawn, like Eric Adams at a nearby club.
More with Curtis Lewa on the Anthony Cumia Show in moments. And Curtis, let's talk to Chris in Ronkonkoma. He wants to talk about the homelessness problem. Chris, you're on with Anthony and Curtis.
What's up, Anthony? How you doing? I was the guy that called a couple months ago asking about the Mannix and the Cannon pictures on the shelf.
I love Mannix, Cannon, Barnaby Jones. Heroes.
Yeah, I was asking about it. Anyway, I had taken my daughter to a Yankee game 2 weeks ago, and I've never done that before. Normally, I would be a passenger in the car or whatever, but she had some tickets. I said, come on. So we tried doing the subway routine.
Oh, man, for Yankee games, that's brutal.
Let me tell you something. I took the LIRR from right here to to Herald Square station there, and then up there, that subway was brutal, man. I mean, it was brutal. It was packed. It was 110 degrees in there. All right, no problem. When we got out of the game, we got a little lost. We were looking around at the sites and this and that.
The worst thing you could do is get lost around Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, not crazy lost, but just, we like, come on, we'll go down this road. And then, let me tell you something. I mean, at this point, I'm not really joking about it. We must have walked past 30 people sleeping on the sidewalk.
Yeah. And it's all normal. No one wants to do anything about it. It's just how it is.
I mean, it was like...
It's part and parcel of New York City.
It was like... Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, some people, you could tell they were sitting on like a kid's chair, like a beanbag chair, and they had everything they owned surrounding them. And then there was other people that were just walking down the street and just like laid down on the street.
Yeah, it is quite amazing. Yeah, Chris?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Chris, thanks, man.
This is like bonfires of the vanities. You make a wrong turn off the Cross Bronx Expressway. Now, the reason they sleep on the streets, because I'm a cognoscente of this kind of behavior with homeless, is if they go into a shelter, it's Darwinian, survival of the fittest. They're not going to survive inside a shelter, so they'd rather sleep on the subway or sleep in the streets. And boy, that's a bad choice to begin with. But you know what? He said Yankee Stadium, and I said, they just had old-timers game.
Yep.
Derek Jeter would not go. Yet Mariano Rivera was there. That's why we should have had the song by the Chainsmokers, who love Curtis and Nancy now that we went to their concert the other night under the Kosciuszko Bridge, and play the song Closer. Because he popped his Achilles heel in the Achilles tendon in the old-timers game.
No, did he hurt himself? I didn't
Seriously.
Setting new course.
In the old-timers game, but Jeter didn't want to play. Probably had good reason.
Was he there? Or he just didn't want to
they had him on the big television.
Let me tell you something, though. I think in an old-timers game, maybe Jeter isn't even old enough for that yet. Maybe that's why he didn't want to do it. Maybe 10 more years he could be in the old-timers game.
Think of it. Mariano Rivera, the greatest closer of all time, throws a few pitches in the old-timers game and somehow pops his Achilles tendon.
That's a shame. Jeez.
Maybe Jeter knew something we didn't.
Maybe he knew something. He feels like, you wake up in the morning, you slept wrong, and your whole left side hurts. Maybe you don't want to get out on the diamond and try to do some of those shortstop
sounds
magic.
like that's happened. The cannibal, and then if his belly was filled, he would feed them to the crocodiles in the Nile. No lover of Jews, that's for sure. The Raider and Debbie, right?
Debbie, yes.
So here he is. He wants to use Etch-a-Sketch and somehow say, what I said when I was younger was just acts of youthful indiscretion. Because I feel the police officers paying forced overtime. First off, the first 5 years when you're a cop, you're probably living in your mom or dad's basement, sleeping on a Castro convertible because you cannot even afford an apartment, never mind a house.
Yeah, you got to live in New York. It's expensive.
Are willing to do all the overtime you can because generally you don't have a family, you don't have kids at that point. So he knows nothing about nothing. And he's talking about all these 911 calls that come because we have a lot of emotionally disturbed people, domestic calls. First off, if you send mental health care personnel into a domestic situation, women will die, children will die.
And the social worker will probably die.
Yeah. It is the most dangerous situations. I and the Guardian Angels have oftentimes been the first to arrive at a domestic violence situation. It's generally men beating up the women folk, beating up the children. And then when all of a sudden you slam the guy, the family turns on you. You can't win. It's a losing situation. And then cops come in and do the real heavy lifting on that. And really, You're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Absolutely.
He has no idea what he's talking about because, remember, he was a trust fund baby. He knows nothing about these things.
Right.
But notice how he talks. And I am speaking to all men out there. If you have a beard and you look like Zoran Mandami, like Mike Lawler, the congressman now from Westchester Rock, and you ever notice he looks like Zoran Mandami, you better get a straight edge razor and cut it off. Right, the beard has become synonymous with Zoran Mandami.
Yeah.
Hey, J.D. Vance, vice president, that scruff's got to go. I'm sorry. Every
You like
time
the clean cut, your politicians clean cut, no beards.
It's just with the sort of photo bombing we've had with Zoran Mandami.
Yeah.
I associate the beard with a guy who, A, is a communist, check the box, socialist, check the box, anti-Semite, check the box. And I'm saying to myself, if you're opposed to Zoran Mandami, why would you be wearing a beard unless there were religious reasons for that? And I know most of you guys out there, you're wearing a beard because you think it's cool, it's hip, it makes you that much more attractive to the femme fatales. Let me tell you, I see a beard now, I see Zoran Mandami Jr.
So it's a wink to Islam.
Why not? You see how he dresses? He looks like the Iranians do. You know how they have the jacket and the white shirt that's open at the collar?
It almost looks like pajamas.
Yeah, it's the same look. Mike Lawler, you support me. You're a great guy, but you got to shave that beard off. I can't tell you how many people have come up to me of late and said, I don't know if Mike Lawler's Mike Lawler or if he's Zoran Mandami.
Curtis, obviously you were in New York during one of the worst times ever, 9/11. I mean, what's this we're talking, 24 years ago? It's just ingrained in my mind. I remember every second of that day and the subsequent days, the horrors of driving past the pile, smelling all that stuff, and just everybody being so sad. And did we ever think that an Islamic extremist communist would be in the lead right now? God forbid, I hope it doesn't last. But in the lead right now to be mayor of that same city, New York, that saw that atrocity.
Didn't surprise me because I've seen the changing of the leaves from the time that Bernie Sanders ran against Hillary, and he was never a Democrat. They let him in the party, and basically he won the primary. He won the primaries and the caucuses. If not for the superdelegates in Philadelphia, it would have been Bernie Sanders versus Donald Trump.
That they just seem to come up with. We need these superdelegates. Let's get him out of here.
Then you had AOC, all-out crazy Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, leader of the Socialists of America, better known as Sandra Ocasio, from the very affluent areas of Westchester County. She's no Jenny from the block.
Now, she doesn't have great genes either, and I'm not talking genetically. I'm talking her genes. She went from the Jordache look to the mom jeans look these days. Getting a little, I don't know.
Oh, it's the red lipstick. Come on, Anthony, it's the red lipstick. The guys swoon over it. They go, oh my God,
Well, look
AOC.
who they got to compare to with the rest of the women.
Generally, women in politics, especially if they're angry.
Right.
They don't look that good when they're angry. When they're happy, they look good. But she actually looks good when she's angry because she's angry all the time.
That's all we've seen.
Right, and in her district up in the Bronx, they did an analysis. Who voted for Trump during the election? Who voted for AOC in Bronx and Queens? Do you know a lot of people who voted for Trump voted for AOC in that same election?
Those people just like celebrity. I think they just like people that they go, I've seen this person, I know this person, I've heard him say 2 words, let me vote for him.
I have the solution of how we are going to turn these millennials and Gen Zers, who, by the way, Anthony, they are the majority of the population, the majority of the voters now. I am recruiting Chad Lopez, our own Chad Lopez, who I don't know if you know is a a DJ of electronic dance music.
I did not know that. I never would have guessed that.
And a very good one. He's actually gone down to Brazil. You know, I have Guardian Angels in Rio de Janeiro. They love electronic dance music. Apparently, he DJ'd about a 12-hour concert down there. And then the head of Goldmine Sachs, the CEO, David Solomon, is also a DJ of electronic dance music. It's a natural mood elevator. And I'm going to kick all of this off every Friday night this summer. It's EDM with the Sleewers, based on our successful appearance at the Chainsmokers concert under the Kosciuszko Bridge. Where are
you doing it?
Where they I am going to the old Brooklyn Mirage that they just closed in Williamsburg. This was a great venue, an outdoor venue. They closed it for a number of reasons. And right in front of that sign that says Bushwick, where all the millennials and Gen Zers hang out, I'm going to have my DJ equipment, and I am going to put out my Spotify list of the best EDM songs.
I cannot wait to see clips
That's how you get them over to your side. You know they want to be entertained. You know they don't want to listen to politics. Come on, let's face it, on a Friday, Saturday night. You think, Anthony, they're interested in politics, or are they interested in getting the groove to their move?
Time to loosen up.
That's right. A natural mood elevator.
I get you.
DJ Curtis Sleewer.
Dance, Curtis?
Oh, yeah.
Like move? You move to the music?
Oh, Pastels in Bay Ridge. I used to dance there back when Sid Rosenberg was a fixture there. Except the Bath Avenue boys.
I didn't know they sold drugs there. Sid was...
let me tell you something. The cocaine flowed there. And nothing good happens...
Sid was there, no doubt.
He loved Pastels. A lot of people did. But after 12 midnight, nothing good ever happens in a club. So I would do my Saturday Night Fever routine, my John Travolta routine. A lot of the guys are real gabons. They don't dance. But their ladies are there. And the ladies are dancing with one another. So naturally, I figured they want to dance with a guy unless they happen to like the same sex, which is not often true in those kind of discos. So I'd be dancing like a whirling dervish. The next thing I know, a guy would punch me right in the nose. My cousins would grab me into the female bathroom and be going into their pockets to get quarters out. Now, do you know what for, Anthony Cumia?
Quarters. Let's see.
The blood is gushing all over my polyester waffle weave flame retardant shirt, my bell-bottom pants, my platform shoes.
They're going in to buy tampons to soak up the blood.
To shove it up my nose.
Yeah.
Which is what professional fighters do. The corner guy, when all of a sudden you've been hitting the nose and you're bleeding, because they'll call the fight if you continue to bleed.
Right, it looks bad. You gotta wave it off.
They put the tampons up there. It absorbs the blood. Naturally, you got to get all the ladies out of the bathroom first, because they're going to think you're weird. And then they're hunting for quarters. I can't tell you. Recently, I had to go for a nasal examination, and the young doctor said, "Wow, you got a lot of damage in there. How did it remain so straightened out?" And I said, "Doc, believe it or not, this has nothing to do with the Minnesota governor, Tampon Tim." Tampons, when they would hit me in the nose, and you know your nose was like either fractured or broken, you got to snap it back. You put it in there, it absorbs the blood.
No, it's great.
Oh, thank
Better
God.
than a compress.
Thank God they found quarters in their pocket. If they didn't, my nose would be like this now. I'd be talking like one of those wise guys where you say, "Hey, did somebody hit you?" And they say, "What do you mean, did somebody hit me?" Of course they hit me. Look at my nose. Can't you tell?
All right, look, I'm bored with it, all right? I'm running for mayor, and I dance. I go down dance at the disco every Saturday night, all right?
And 2 slices of pizza.
2 slices of pizza. I work at the paint company. Every day I work to make money, and I blow it all at the disco, all right?
And then my hair, every hair in place. Now that's why, ladies and gentlemen, let me be completely honest, this beret has become an issue in this campaign.
Yes, I see people saying that too.
To wear the beret or not to wear the beret, and I wear the beret most of the time when I'm in the streets and the subways, where the real peeps are. But when the wealthy people want to talk to me, or the heavy hitters, I go in without the beret. It takes them like 5 minutes to even know who I am.
Recognize it. I don't care if you wear a top hat. I don't care if you wear a propeller beanie. You are the guy, Curtis. We're going to take a break. I'll let you go. I'll let you run. I'm sure you got mayoral things to do.
No, I got my platform shoes on. I'm ready. Oh, God, the Bee Gees. Oh, my God. Was that not the greatest soundtrack of all time?
We're going to go to the Brooklyn Bridge and dance, all right? Don't jump off the bridge.
That's the Verrazano Bridge you got on.
Of course, the Verrazano Bridge. That was it. Curtis, I love you, man. I'm pulling for you. I am supporting you, and I tell everybody.
Well, let me tell you how to support.
Get out there and vote. Yes.
SleeWolfForNYC.com. SleeWolfForNYC.com. And don't throw nickels around like manhole covers. I could use some of that money. I raised more money than anyone else, including Zorhan, this last cycle, and got $2 million in matching funds.
And they match it, so it's
that's right.
2-1.
I get a little more, and I'm the winner. Come on, people.
Let's do it. Curtis, I love you, brother, and I love what you're doing, and continued support, and I'd love to have you on again soon.
You name it, I'm here.
Let's do it. All right. Thank you, Curtis Sliwa. And we'll be back in minutes with more of the Anthony Cumia Show. Drop out! Adams! Look at New York City under Adams' tenure so far. You want that to continue? And look, for the people saying it doesn't matter. If he runs, it's just giving the election to Mamdani. I'm not of that school of thought. I'm from the school of thought that if you're passionate about somebody and you want something, you don't compromise like that. Oh, leave. We want you. We like your ideology. We like your policies. We like what you want to do with New York because it's exactly what we want. Less crime, less corruption, somebody in office that knows New York. But drop out. And let the guy that screwed up this city during his term as mayor, Adams, let him, because he's got the best shot. Instead of really running for it and trying for the big win, as they call it. The big win. Get these Republicans off their ass and to the voting booths in November. If every registered Republican in New York, in New York City, actually voted on election day, it would not even be close. They're divvying up the vote between Cuomo, Adams, and Mamdani. No Republican in their right mind is going to vote for Adams. So, Curtis drops out. Now Republicans are going to go, ooh, thank God he dropped out. Now I could go vote for Adams or Cuomo. They're not going to vote. They're just not going to go out. That's the way this works. So Curtis stays in as a Republican. It's not on him to drop out. It's on the Republicans to get up and vote for Curtis Sliwa in November. And you'd have Curtis Sliwa as your mayor. You want Adams? You want Mamdani? You want Cuomo? Then don't. Sit on your ass, watch TV, and bitch and complain about your taxes, crime, every other thing that sucks about New York City.
Move those suburbs.
What do you do?
Levitation units on.
All right, another thing I absolutely want to talk about, the Howard Stern thing has been such big news. It's the only buzz Howard has had in years about his show. And it's literally him quitting or getting fired, retiring, whatever you want to call it. Sirius XM Satellite Radio, who I used to be involved with, is making little hints that $100 million a year isn't quite balancing out to what Howard's bringing in these days. At one time, Howard was bringing in 20 million listeners a day. 20 million. I just read that it's down to about 250,000 listeners a day. which is just insane. That drop off. And for a company to go, hey, here's your contract, here's another $500 million for a 5-year deal, they're just not going to do it. Now, I've heard other things. You know, Iran, who is in the know in radio, says that perhaps Howard put this whole story out there himself to try to get interest up and see if people would be like, oh no, Howard's got to stay in, or try to use it as leverage against Sirius. But all I see, if that was him that did it, all I see, the only leverage it gave was to Sirius. Because 99% of the comments I've read on social media about this story that Sirius does not want him anymore, at least doesn't want him at $100 million a year. Every one of those, the comments are, yeah, he sucks. Yeah, he's done. This isn't the Howard of old. He's overstayed his welcome. But truth be told, he is done. He's 71, and look, age isn't really the only thing that's going to get you out of radio and of actually being a personality that people want to tune into. But he's just, he's gotten to the point where he's irrelevant. He had Joe Biden on and kissed his ass while he was obviously senile. We'll be back in moments. Don't have something to say about Howard and Stephen Colbert and the fact that Colbert was canceled. I think Howard or Trump wants to kind of take responsibility for that. And I said it before, a lot of things, attitudes, ideology, maybe not ideology, but the attitudes of Americans have really changed, or at least the people that had any bit of common sense are being heard right now. They're the ones being heard. They're the ones kind of dictating policy. The idea that a child of 7, 9, 12 years old can decide their sexuality, and the parents are happier than a pig in crap, as they say, to take them to a doctor and have them mutilated and